A star of HGTV, the Food Network, and ABC, an award-winning interior architect, and a defining voice in modern luxury design. Welcome to Tequila Chats with the joyful and amazing Taniya Nayak. No idea how happy I am that we are doing this together.
Stop, you don't
I know,
even know
I
how
love
happy
it.
I am.
Listen, cheers.
Cheers.
Welcome to Tequila Chats.
Thank you.
I really am so happy. I love your energy. I love our conversations. Whenever I see you, just make me so happy. And
Same,
it's gonna be
exactly
amazing.
the same. I have to tell you, the first time I met you, we were at the IFDA Awards.
Yes.
We were co-emceeing together. And I thought, oh my God, who is this beautiful man?
Who was there?
Yes, you know. I fell in love with you the second I saw
you're the
you.
sweetest.
And then I realized that you had this gorgeous, handsome husband.
Well,
And
you know
then-
what? There's
well,
got to be something wrong, right?
No. And then I realized I also have a gorgeous, handsome
Yes,
husband.
I was going to say, what are you talking
about?
about? Well, cheers
Needless
to
to
them.
say,
Yeah,
cheers.
and cheers to you. Again, thank you very much. So, isn't it good, right?
It's delicious.
I
yes.
know. The bottle was too big, so we have to cut it, guys. Otherwise, you would have seen what it was. but
Right.
Another time. But I want to jump into the conversation. As you know, Tequila Chat is it's a conversation around success, but not framed within the shiny things, because that's what we all see. But it's just framed within the context of, all the stuff that goes behind the scenes, which people don't seem to, to
Right.
see, and it's the richest experience, right? I believe, and I say this every single time that I do this, that I have this conversation, that our origin story, where we come from, at least for me, defines how we see the world, define how we see success and how we do things in life. So tell us about your origin story. Where does Taniya come from? Everything.
You
Spill
want
all
it
the
all.
beans.
You want
all
dirt?
the beans. Let's do
Okay.
it.
Well, I agree with you on one thing that you had touched on, is that we see the glitz and the glam. We see all this beautiful stuff that we put out on social media, but you're right, it comes from somewhere, doesn't it?
Yes.
Well, I come from India, so that's my roots. I was born in India.
Yeah.
I was raised here in Boston. Boston girl through and through.
Yes.
My dad's an architect, so I grew up watching him in his office. I saw him back in the days when it was drawing the blueprints
With actual blueprints.
by hand. Yes, on that actual blueprint
Yes.
paper, which
I love.
I'm constantly looking for to use as wrapping paper.
I was
now.
going to say, or to frame it. It looks so beautiful when you frame
it's so
it correctly.
beautiful. And I feel like being around that, growing up around that, I was always creative. I'm a
Yes.
Pisces, by the way.
Yes.
So I think that lefties and a Pisces, I
You
have
had it all
all
together,
the
yes.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was always an artist. And back then, girls weren't really in that industry back then. So I remember being the only girl in my drafting class in high school.
Yes.
And then I kind of veered off, weirdly. I didn't follow my heart and do architecture.
So that was originally kind of like your instinct, was to go through
Yeah.
architecture versus interior architecture.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%. Because I would see my dad doing his work,
Yes.
and I was always in awe of it. It's so beautiful. And then, I remember being so little, and my dad would come home from work, and I'd say, "Pop, what is an architect?" And he said, "Well," and the easiest way he could explain it to me, because I was so little, was, I instead of saying design, I think he said I build
Yes.
buildings or something like that.
Yeah.
And I thought, my dad is the best in the world, because he doesn't even have any dirt on him when he comes home.
And he's building homes, yes.
Exactly. So I ended up, weirdly, my dad's was also a small business owner. So he saw the challenges that came along with being a business owner, and the struggles of how anything that's going to end up on the table is because you had to really work
Yes.
for it. So he kind of steered me away from it, which is so interesting.
Yeah,
A lot
interesting.
of
You
time-
think he want to embrace you.
Yes, exactly. And he said, I think that maybe you should go into business or something else, something more solid, something more stable. So I did. And
Yes.
I went into marketing, and I'm really happy I did.
I didn't know this part.
Yeah.
Oh.
I have my undergrad is in business marketing.
Okay.
Which really, in the big picture, has been
Yes.
very helpful.
Yes.
At the time, I don't think I really realized that.
Yes. Yes.
The first job out of college, undergrad, was sales. I was selling workwear clothing for like, these Coca-Cola type of companies.
Oh, really?
Yes. And I was
That must
terrible.
have been quite I was going to say.
I didn't sell anything.
Well, it was a difficult product too, so I don't blame you
yeah,
for
like, those overalls and all the things. And so I did that. I think I probably got fired from that job. And then somebody said, oh, well, you should go, and you have a great personality. You should go work for a hearing aid company selling hearing aids, right? Like,
What is this? What is this process for you?
what is this process?
So how do you ended up then back into design and architecture?
Well, after many failed attempts of many jobs, I had
At the business.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly. I had this moment where I was like, I am too young to be doing a job that I hate for the rest of my life, right?
Yeah.
And
Well,
so
you're very lucky that you had that realization.
I am
think a
very
lot of
lucky.
people don't have that. I was talking to one of our guests in a previous podcast, Ben Mesrick, and we had the conversation about finding that cult
Yes.
very early on. It's an it kind of like it sets in many ways that your success.
it is an interesting thing to have that insight at a young age, also to realize that.
Yeah.
Because I also think that you don't have to be young to have that realization either.
No, yeah, you're right. It
Right?
could come at other points. Absolutely right.
I think
yeah.
sometimes you can be deeply into your career and maybe realize that it's not the right thing for you, and maybe make a change and
Yes.
find that joy and happiness. So anyways, I decided that I was going to march myself right into the Boston Architectural College.
Yes.
And I applied for my master's in interior architecture.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't tell my dad, I didn't tell my mom, I didn't tell anyone, which is the craziest thing. Like, I'm not telling my parents I want to go for a
That you're about to
master's
do
degree.
this, yes.
Yes. I didn't want anyone to talk me out of it.
Uh-huh.
Like, you would have thought I was going to get a
Well,
tattoo
you had that
on my
experience
forehead.
earlier on, right? With it, yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And I made up my mind. I was like, I'm doing this. So I went to the Boston Architectural College, changed my whole entire life. I mean,
Yeah.
truly, from the day I set foot into that building, I wasn't the best. There were always those people that you see that you're like, wow. Like
Yes.
you kind of like fangirl
Yeah,
over
their
their
quarterback,
work.
right? Kind of
Yeah.
like situation, yes.
But there was an audition for a TV show while I was there with Scout Productions, who created
I remember.
Queer Eye.
Yeah,
Yep.
yes.
And they said, we're looking for some designers. We have a new show on ABC Family. So they were doing an audition.
Yeah.
And our dean of the school said, we think it would be a really cool opportunity for you guys as students. Why don't you guys go and just audition?
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
fuck yeah, let's go do this.
Let's
Like,
do this. Yeah,
let's
let's get
do
it done. Yeah, absolutely.
So I went in and I auditioned. I didn't hear anything for a while, but then I ended up getting a call back.
But it seems like the whole process for you has been very organic.
Very
It hasn't,
organic.
very serendipitous as well. Like it's almost like these things are happening for you, and then you're just opening those doors that are
Yeah.
presented in front of you. It's a very interesting process. Yeah.
It is, because I don't think my goal was, I didn't say, I want to be on
I want to be
TV.
this. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
It just
sort of-
happened.
Right.
Yeah.
And I leaned into it.
Yes.
Which is the other thing that I think is really important for people to do organically. Like, if you feel like you're going in a direction that doesn't fit, it doesn't feel good, you're not feeling happy and energized when you wake up in
Yeah.
the morning to go do what you do for a living,
Yes.
then maybe it is time to start to listen and lean into the things that do bring you
Yeah, no,
joy.
that is a great point. I think that sometimes the conversation around success gets framed by this idea that there is a series of steps, and there's a series of like you do this A, B, C, D,
Yes.
and then you get to that Z, and that's what it is.
Right.
And the more I talk to people that are extremely successful at the business, the process is very different, right? It's not an A to B to C, maybe A to D, and they don't even know they're going A to D, and they come back to a
Yeah.
B.
Yeah.
And it's more about taking those opportunities, like you said, being open to whatever is happening at this moment,
Yeah.
and pivoting and learning and moving forward that
Right.
entire process.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that there's, for me personally, I don't think I ever bit off more than I could chew. I'm a pretty safe. I'm not a huge risk taker.
Yeah.
So when I started my business, which organically happened because I was doing television, and then
Yes.
it just sort of, I was getting requests. I was at my dining room table. As the business started to grow, I hired someone. I got a
Yes.
little tiny like a cubicle of somebody else's office.
Yes, yes.
You know what I mean? And I just allowed myself to lean in
And
quietly.
you've built an incredible business because your business has so many legs, right? You have, of course, the TV work that you have done, but you have product, you have your design firm, you have hospitality, it's incredible what you have accomplished.
Yeah,
and it's
fun.
incredible that you have done it in a very organic manner.
Yes. And in a way that I have to absolutely love everything I'm doing, because the minute I don't, it's not, I've never chased anything for money. And I can say that with pure honesty. I've never gone after something because of the paycheck.
Yeah.
I've gone after it because it feels good. I've taken design clients that maybe didn't always have the budget, but I was so interested in them, and I was so interested in their project that ultimately it pays off in bigger ways.
Listen, joy pays off because joy opens you up for better things and for enjoying what is happening at that moment in your life.
Right.
I have a very dear friend who is a very successful hotelier, Tim Harrington, and that is his principle. He's like, I am in the business of joy. I am in the business of being joyful about what I am doing and bringing joy to the people that are part of my business, part of my life.
Right.
And that is a really, really, I think, important lesson that I think sometimes get lost in the process. Because building a business, as we know, it's a really difficult, right?
Yes.
It takes a lot of trials and tribulations, as we all know. And I think that joy part gets lost sometimes in the shuffle.
Right.
Yeah.
And also kind of rediscovering yourself, or kind of revamping how you do business. Like, things are changing so fast.
Yes.
What was hot at one point is not hot another, and we even know this just simply from social
in
media.
your
It's like,
world, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It really is crazy the way that those trends just happen. And I want to address those trends, but let me give you a little bit of I auditioned for the original Queer Eye, the original, the OG.
you?
Yes, and I
Oh my
made it through a
God.
couple of the stages. Obviously, I didn't get it, but I'll tell you later.
Well,
We need
they
more
made a
tequila.
mistake. They
More
made a
tequila.
mistake. You would have been perfect.
But let me ask you about Boston. This is just out of curiosity. You coming from India, right? You come from a very, defined, rich culture in terms of aesthetics, right? That vibrancy. How has Boston kind of defined your aesthetic?
I think I lean more towards city, urban design style. The richness and the color tones and the jewels and the palette, it's never really been my strong suit, weirdly.
It's weird. Yeah.
Isn't that
That's
weird?
interesting because people think we'll be like on your, like I am true and true Latino.
Yes.
You might not see it right now because I turned this into a uniform, but if you go to my home, there's like color everywhere. Yeah, literally, yes.
Well, I think
Color
part of it is a big part of it is that my father is very modern aesthetic.
Okay.
So he was always a believer. Everything's white because he wanted to see the shadows, the structure,
the lines, whatever it is, yes.
Right. So we never had color introduced, only like little pops and moments here and there.
Yeah.
So I think maybe that's part of it.
Yeah, maybe. And you landed in the right city, right?
I guess so.
Right now, for that. But let me move along the conversation. I'm curious as you look at your success and you look at all the things that you have done, how do you identify those tipping points? And do you remember the first tipping point in your career?
Yes.
Because I think sometimes we lose because we're just on the grind of things, we lose the ability to look at what the universe is telling you, right? Like these moments in which you should feel that is the moment to pivot.
Yeah. I definitely think the big tipping point was making that decision to go back to school for interior architecture. But what happened there in going back to school and then auditioning for that show, I remember we filmed, and when the show ended, I was crushed because I thought, how is this real life? Like, how am I actually doing this job that I am having the best time at? I'm loving every moment of it. And I just thought, like, if this is what it would feel like I couldn't believe I was getting paid. That to me was weird. Why are you paying me to do this? I'm having way too much fun. This is so great. So I think realizing that, I can actually have a job and love what I do And maybe also in doing so, be able to share some knowledge with other people, and having a platform like
Yes.
that is pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
And so when you look at all those moments and that entire trajectory, which has been defined by different stages of success, what have you learned from that? What have you learned from success?
Oh, what I learned from success is, well, I don't even know if I'm there yet, to be honest. I think that success is what is success,
Yeah.
right? Like success to me is I'm healthy.
Yes.
Success is I have people that I love
Yeah.
around me. Success is that I get to do what I love to do.
Yes.
I don't know, and it's funny you ask me this question because I have a manager who helps me with my television career stuff,
Yes.
all that stuff, and we were chatting, and every beginning of the year we always say, okay, what are our goals? What are we going to go for this year? And what like you were talking about product, I would be like, I
Yeah.
want to start a tile line. I want to do this. I want to do that, and he'll help me facilitate get there. And this year, I said, can we push this call a little bit? And he said, yeah, why? I go, honestly, I feel really good right now. Like, I feel like I'm in a good place.
Yes.
And I don't need to chase if I don't need to chase.
I don't need anything else at this
just
point.
for the
Yes.
chase.
Yeah.
I feel like I want to enjoy this for a minute.
Yes.
But that is also very hard to, as someone like you and like me and a lot of other people that we know, we're always kind of going. What's next?
Yeah.
What's next? What's next? And to some extent, we define ourselves by our successes, right?
Yes, there is. There's I think there's an exterior push towards that, right?
Right.
I really like you said, to define ourselves not only professionally but personally, but
Yes.
whatever that success
Right.
means. Yes.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of times people will say, oh, well, Tanya, what are you working on next? What's the next show? What's the next show? And that's a lot. It's a lot
Yeah.
of pressure,
Yeah.
But I have many different things up in the air at many different times. So when someone says, what's next? I'm like, well, do you want me to sit here and tell you? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
I just kind of want to sit in the moment and just.
So would you say
enjoy.
that success have taught you to trust your instinct?
Yes. Yeah. Although it's still a shaky, I can sit here and say I'm loving and living in this moment, but there is always that little layer, that little icing of anxiety.
Yeah, no, of course,
that
yes.
dribbles
yes.
on top.
Is this going to work? Is this not going to work?
Yeah.
What is going to happen if I do this?
Or how long is this little,
for sure.
how
for
long
sure.
am I going to take as
Yeah.
a moment before? But I think that when it comes to me, I've always been very sort of, as cheesy as this sounds, a little bit connected to the universe.
Yes. No,
I know
totally.
I
Yes,
say it out
yes.
loud of it. It
No.
sounds silly, but I
No, it
do.
doesn't. No.
You
No.
put it out there, and sometimes it comes when your vibrations are strong.
Yeah, and everybody defines the difference. Some people define it as instinct, right? Some people would say people just follow their instinct, they follow their gut. My grandmother used to say, your heart and your head will lie to you, your gut will never. And so
Yes.
that's something that I carry with me as I've been building my business. It's all very gut feeling.
Right.
I don't
Right.
have personally that,
Yeah.
that connection thing that I feel, but it's the same thing.
It is. Your gut.
Is that yes,
Yes,
exactly. Is that gut is that
100%.
instinct that brings you to it. Yeah, no.
Oh, your grandma. What'd you call her?
My grandma?
What did you call her?
Abuelita.
Abuelita,
Yeah, it's my
yeah.
abuelita. Or mamita. In Colombia, we call them mamita, abuelita, depending on the day, depending on.
She sounds
Yeah,
like
yeah.
she was awesome.
Oh, she was amazing. Yeah, she was incredible. I grew up with her, which
Oh,
was
nice.
amazing. My
Well-
mom was very young when I was born, and so I think in some ways my grandmother became not a default mom, but she was part of that process.
I
And
think
so-
a lot of times when people are raised by their grandparents, there's a whole different level of respect, kindness, warmth, which you
Yes.
have all of. So
Yeah, well,
it
thank you. And
definitely
I
makes
owe a
sense.
lot to my grandmother.
Yeah.
So, on the other side of success, it's there are challenges. There is failure, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
What have you learned from those?
Oh, the failures are probably the biggest thing that I think can steer somebody in the really wrong direction. And I think that it's the one thing that people should take as like a kryptonite. Like when I fail, which we all do,
Yeah.
or something doesn't always go as planned, or if a show ends that I loved and I'm kind of feeling in a slump, I always remind myself that in the laws of physics, there is actually no such thing as a high without a low.
Yes.
Right?
Of course.
You can't have a high if you don't
Yes.
have a low.
Yeah.
So I always tell myself, okay, I'm not kidding. I have these conversations with myself, and I tell myself, you got to power through, sister, because you're bracing yourself for the next really big high.
Yeah, you're going through this. You're going through that swing, right? Yes.
Yeah.
You have to go through whatever valley it is or height it is to get to the other side of it. So
Right.
yeah. No, right. Listen, I absolutely agree. I agree that I think that that the value of challenges is what builds you. You know, it really is what gets you to the next level.
Right.
It's what gets you moving. Because the success is easy. The success is easy to identify, and I think that the lesson from the success is easy to pinpoint.
Right.
And sometimes what is the most difficult is to really pinpoint what was the lesson you're being taught by.
Yes.
By whatever that.
Yeah,
that
and I
low
don't want to
point was.
glaze over it because I think sometimes that can also be really annoying to hear somebody be like, it's fine, da da da,
Yes.
you know, it's not fine. Feel the feels, you know,
Yes.
take a break, talk to somebody, do whatever you have to do if it's a challenging time. It's
Yes.
a challenging time.
Yeah.
Though everything is a challenging time
Of
right
course,
now.
yeah.
It's hard
Yeah.
to stay positive and be excited and keep up and
Yes.
you know all these things. So, yeah, I think it's just being kind to yourself, you know.
Yeah, that is, I actually think that is really important. We forget sometimes. Well, we forget that a lot. I know that I have to remind myself to be kind to myself.
Right.
Because it's the only way that you can continue to move
Yeah.
forward with that process.
Right.
You know?
Right.
But now let's talk about your television career, because you've
Okay.
been doing it for a long time now.
Oh my gosh, I am on over 20 years. I want
That
to say
is
about
crazy.
20. I'm approaching 25 years, which is
That
crazy
is
for TV
crazy,
life,
crazy,
right?
yes. That's quite the
Yeah.
longevity.
I know.
And you've been with, obviously you're better known for all your HGTV projects, but also the Food Network
Yes.
projects.
Yep.
How do you think that television has kind of like changed the way in which people view design?
Oh, well, it was there was a tough time there where HGTV was very sort of kitschy, right? Like very DIY.
Totally remember, yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
And I remember
With
feeling
the swapping room
Yes,
shows,
yep.
yes, those were
And it wasn't
those were rough in
done
retrospect,
right.
yes.
Yeah. And I remember being here in the design world and I was starting to grow as a designer. And yeah, I went to school for it. I got my master's in it. And I still had this stigma attached to me. And I think it was more my own issue. I don't think it had anything to do with anyone else's perception. It was my own.
Yeah.
I would attend these events, these design events, and I remember feeling judged. But that was me.
Yes.
It wasn't them. Because what I've grown to learn as I've started to evolve in this community, the design community has here, especially in Boston, has been the most loving, the most supportive,
Yeah.
fun. They're
Yeah.
cool. You know, from
Yeah,
when
yeah,
we
no,
have
you're
seen
absolutely right. Yes.
The IFDA.
Yeah.
And I know you have such a
Yeah,
network of friends.
Yeah, but super supportive, yes.
They're the
Yeah.
best, the
Truly.
absolute best. So it was like in my own head, but as TV's evolved now, we're able to showcase more of what we do, and it's actually given me a really great platform. What I struggle with sometimes is when I'm trying to showcase my work, either getting overshadowed by the TV thing, or vice versa. You know what I mean? It's
So-
like they're different worlds.
So do you think that you have to try to strike a balance? How do you do that?
I do. But you know what? I think that having the TV thing. So I've told a lot of people who have come to me and said, "Oh, how did you get it? You know, how did you get started in TV? I would love to have a show." I always tell them the TV part is the least glamorous and the least money-making thing you're going to do. That part of it.
Yeah.
What you do with it is where you're going to get a little bit more
Yes.
of the finances.
What you're going to get out of that. Yes,
Right.
exactly. How you're going to pivot
Yeah,
into that.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, okay, now someone might know my name. Well, then maybe I can be a brand ambassador for a product that I really love, you know?
Yes.
And so that's sort of where you parlay it into.
Yeah, totally. And, or see those opportunities of
Yeah.
options of things that you could do that are, as we were discussing earlier, organically coming from what you were doing at that point.
Right.
Yes. It's not.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh,
let's
that's
sip.
too good.
Cheers. No, this is delicious. Let's take a little tequila break. So I am always interested in this idea of of pivot, and it has to do with what we were just talking about. What do you think is the role of pivot in success, in business success?
Why did you just use that word? I'm wondering, because it has
What?
been my word of
Oh, really?
2026.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
You see, we are connected. I'm
That
telling
is
you.
crazy.
It was the tequila is connected.
What? Yeah. Well, why did you ask that question?
No, I just listen. I think that when I'm listening to you and we're talking about the diversity of your career, right? And when you're talking about the relationship that you have to the universe, right? And that instinct, that whatever you want to call it, that gut feeling, whatever it is.
Yes.
Pivot, I think, sometimes gets lost because business successes seem as rigid. And I do think that there is a lot of creativity that comes from that pivot that I think sometimes gets underestimated. I don't know if I'm making any sense
you're
to
making
you
so
right
much
now.
sense to me.
Yeah, I think it's this sense of rigidity in business and in success that I think has nothing to do with it, as a matter of fact. And it's that ability to, but no, I'm not going to speak about what I think. But tell us about what you think is the role of it. Yes.
Yeah, I love hearing that you say that, and I love that you said my favorite P word.
There we go.
Times. Pivot it's necessary.
Yeah.
It is like, it should be ingrained in your fiber. For me, for example, TV, network television. Who's watching network television these days? Everybody is on, their Netflix,
the streaming and all
the
stuff.
streaming apps. So I have to pivot, don't
Yes.
I? Because my whole career is based on network television.
Yes.
That's changing.
Yes.
So now I have to pivot. There's I've done restaurant design for such a long time, but I'm starting to pivot into doing a little bit, leaning more into residential. It's something that I'm finding I'm really enjoying, but I don't think I was ready for that before. It's a whole, I was giving this analogy to somebody the other day. I was like, if you're a hospitality designer or a residential designer, it's almost like being a doctor, right? So you have the title of a doctor, but you specialize.
Yes.
You're a cardiologist, you're a gastroenterologist, you're a foot doctor. They're such different worlds, but you all have that title of doctor. So designer, it's like you're hospitality or residential, but they're so different. They're so the way you handle your clients, the way you talk to them, the way you put together a proposal, the way you approach the design.
Yeah.
Everything is just very different.
Yeah, the process, the delivery of the product, yes.
All of it.
We work with a lot of interior designers because a good chunk of what we do in our business is new construction. And so that partnership with the designer is paramount to what we are doing.
Yes.
With the designer, with the architect, record, and then with the designer are paramount to what we are doing.
Right.
Yeah, no, it is. But I'm puzzled by what you just said, because I feel like if you're a designer, you're a designer.
Yeah.
Right, like this idea that you have this specialty to me sounds a little bit foreign. I don't know why. I feel like if you're doing a restaurant, of course you can do a home, or vice versa.
It sounds like it, right?
Yes.
And I think it's the process might be similar, right? We'll do a concept board, we'll do the floor plans, we'll put a budget together. The process might be similar, but how you interact with your client is very different, because for hospitality, for example, it's a very hard deadline and a very hard budget. It is. This is what we have to spend because they've taken the loans out and there's not another penny extra.
Yeah.
And then there's this date because we have to open the restaurant by this date. So there's a whole lot of like rigidness to that.
Yes.
And then when you have a client, it's their home. They will wiggle a little if it's meaningful and sentimental to them. There's a different process. If it's going too fast for them, they can put the brakes on a little bit. So there's like it's just different.
Yes. The pace of it seems like it's different, and the set of expectations might be different. So this is a big question. This is the million-dollar question on this conversation is, what do you think is the key to success?
The key to success is finding joy in what you do. And it's probably very simple, but I do think that the key to success is staying humble.
Yeah.
The key to success, a lot of different answers for this.
No. Come on, let's hear it.
The key to success is having some form of balance.
Yes.
These are for me personally.
No, of course.
You know?
So joy, balance,
Yeah.
staying humble.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
I love it. And
Yeah.
that comes across. You live it.
thank
So I don't think it's just, ideas.
Yeah.
You actually do live it. So what is in the future for Taniya?
For the future right now is we'll see where the television stuff goes. I have some shows that oh wait, can I tell you? Can
Yeah,
I do
tell me
a little,
everything.
Like a little plug of
Do a
what's
big plug. Go
coming?
on, let's do it. Let's do it all.
Well, I'm not normally one to plug, but I'm very excited about this. April 13th, I have a big show on HGTV that's airing called Rock the Block.
Okay.
And it's a competition show.
Uh-huh.
We have 4 houses in a cul-de-sac.
Okay.
And then 4 teams. I'm on one of the teams.
Okay.
And so this season, they're pairing an HGTV designer with a celebrity. So my celebrity is
Can you
Drew
tell us?
Lachey from 98 Degrees.
Yes.
Another team is this guy, Scott McGillivray. He's on a lot of Canadian HGTV, but he's been around for a long time. I love him. And he's teamed up with Brooke Hogan, Hulk Hogan's daughter. And then we have 2 people from Survivor, Chelsea Meisner, who was on Southern Charm, and then HGTV, she won Survivor one year as Kim Wolf. And then the final team is a football player who is the best retired football player named Vernon Davis. He played for the 49ers, and he's teamed up with Mina Starziak-Hawk on HGTV. So anyways, the 4 of us, I know I really probably didn't need to go through all
I
of
love
that.
it. Now we know. We are hooked now.
Yeah. Well, we have a house that is literally concrete subfloor and framing, and we build the entire house, floor to ceiling.
How long did this take?
Backyard, pools, you name it, this, that, the other thing, 6 weeks.
Oh, wow.
6 weeks.
Wow.
We are doing plumbing, changing walls, exterior siding. We're putting in new windows. We're putting in pools and wellness rooms and bars and all the
And
things.
so it's at a competition, like at the end of the...
It's a competition.
Somebody wins?
Yes, and the winner is picked by the appraisal. So
Okay.
they have appraisers.
Ah.
Yeah, they have
How
appraisers.
technical is this?
Yeah, I know. That's the question.
Because I was
You'll
wondering,
have to
who is
tell
going to be
me.
here?
Yeah, you watch and you tell me. It's so funny. So yeah, whichever house appraises for the highest value wins the show.
Wow. Did you win? Can you tell me?
You'll
Well,
have to watch
Taniya,
it.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Again, as I said earlier, I love seeing you.
I love
your
you too.
energy. I really admire and love your entire process and your generosity sharing your experience with us. And so
You're the
thank you.
best.
No, you're the best.
And we have to come up with more ways to
I
hang
know
out
we do.
other than a
Come on.
podcast. I love you.
Like, share, comment, and subscribe to watch all the episodes of Tequila Chats.